Hi, I'm Megan and welcome to my kitchen. In today's What's for Dinner video, I'll be sharing with you what meals we had this past week. Our dinners were easy to make, budget friendly, and delicious. So if you'd like to get some weeknight meal ideas for your family, then just keep watching. This week's video is a little bit different than my normal What's for Dinner videos because for the last few dinners we were actually on a little mini vacation to celebrate our 12th anniversary. So if that's not something that you're interested in seeing, you could just skip out of it. I always include timestamps for my videos in the description box below, so you can just check that to see when that footage starts and exit out if you would like. Now, like I mentioned, because we are out of town, my voiceovers for this video might sound a little bit different than normal, so I apologize if you hear any background noise or if it sounds a little bit different or is a little bit echoey. First up, I'm making yakisoba. I've made this several times before and we really enjoy this. Now, I don't know that this is an authentic Japanese recipe, but like I said, we enjoy this and it is very budget friendly, so I recommend you give this a try. You will need some ramen noodles and you don't need the packet, so you can just discard that or set it aside for another use. But I'm going to cook up the ramen noodles according to the package instructions, and I'm going to rinse them with cold water just to stop them from cooking, drain them, and set them aside. Next, I'm going to get started on the sauce. So in this bowl, I'm going to add in my sesame oil. I believe the recipe states to toss the sesame oil with the noodles, but I always just add it to the sauce. You can do either way, it doesn't matter. Then I'm going to add my sugar, then the soy sauce, then the Worcestershire sauce, next the ketchup, next, the sriracha. You want to use this according to taste. If you don't like things spicy, I would just start out by using a teaspoon of that. Then I'm going to whisk everything together really well, and then that's it. That's my sauce, so I'm going to set that aside for a moment. I've got the skillet over about medium-high heat. I'm going to add in some avocado oil and allow that to heat up. Next, I have a chicken breast that I've just sliced into thin strips. I'm going to add that and then stir fry that until it is cooked all the way through. Next, I'm going to add in my vegetables. So to start with, I have about a half of an onion that I've sliced into thin strips. I'm going to add that, toss it with the chicken, and cook that for about 2 to 3 minutes or until the onion starts to soften. Then I'm going to add in the broccoli. Again, I'll toss that with the chicken as well and cook that for another minute or two, just until the broccoli starts to soften as well. Then I'm going to add in this coleslaw mix. I like to use this because it's already shredded up for me and it has carrots in there, but you can just use shredded cabbage if you'd like. And then I decided to add in a little bit of extra carrots just because I had part of this small bag of matchstick carrots on hand. So again, I'm just going to toss that together and stir fry that until the cabbage cooks down. Then I'll season that with some ginger. Then I'm going to add my cooked and drained ramen noodles and toss that around. Then I will add the sauce and give that one final toss and cook this for just a couple minutes just to allow everything to come together, and then that's it. Dinner will be ready. And here's the finished yakisoba. You can totally make this your own. Use whatever protein you or your family like or whatever you have on hand. Or you could leave it out altogether and just have a meatless meal. You can do the same thing with the vegetables. You should use what you like or use what you've got on hand. And here's the finished plate. Like I said, we really enjoy this. This is a super quick and easy dinner to put together. It's very budget friendly, and I recommend you give this a try. For dinner the next night, I'm making pulled pork. I've shared how I make my pulled pork in a separate video. I'll include that in the description box below. Tonight, I'm taking some help from Sam's Club. I like to get this pulled pork there. We really enjoy this. We've had this several times. It's really good. You can cook this in the oven or in the microwave. I've never tried it in the microwave though. I've always done it in the oven. But basically what you do is you take the pulled pork out of the tray and the packaging. You place it into a baking dish. You want to try to leave it, in a whole piece if possible. You add a little bit of water, cover it tightly with foil, and then you place it into the preheated oven. Now, this says to cook it, I believe, for like 40 minutes. Mine always takes longer to come to temperature. So just make sure you check the temperature and make sure that it's what it says it should be on the box. And here's the finished pork. Now, as you notice, there's no barbecue sauce, so you can add whatever your favorite is. And to go along with that, I made a spaghetti pasta salad. This is part of a separate video that I did. It was a Summer Sides collab. I'll include a link to that video in the description box below and pop an iCard up for that, so be sure to check it out to see how I made this. It's so yummy. And then here are the finished plates. So we have the pasta salad. I put the pulled pork on some buns with some of our favorite barbecue sauce, and then that was dinner this night. It was super easy and really delicious. And with that pulled pork, we like to make nachos with it. You can do like a barbecue pizza with it. There's just so many different things you can do with it. So if you go to Sam's Club, I recommend you give that a try. For dinner the next night, I made sushi. This was my very first time making sushi, so please don't judge me. I really did not know what I was doing. I watched several videos, read the instructions, but the first roll that I made, I had to redo it 3 times, so please don't judge me. I am not at all a sushi making expert, but I've always wanted to make my own homemade sushi, and for my husband's birthday, my parents got him a sushi making kit, so I decided, you know what, it's time. I'm just going to try it, and I'm so glad that I did. It was delicious. So if you're intimidated just like I was, give it a try. It's really not that bad once you get the hang of it. I started out by making the sushi rice. So I got this sushi rice just at Walmart, and it actually wasn't that expensive. It was only a couple dollars for this package, but I'm going to measure that out into a fine mesh strainer, and then you want to rinse that with cold water until the water runs clear. I'll include a link to the sushi rice recipe that I used in the description box below. Once I've rinsed the rice, I placed it into my rice cooker, added the water, added the lid, and then turned the rice cooker on. And I'll talk more about the rice cooker in just a moment, but I want to show you how I made the seasoning for the rice. Once the rice was done, I put it into a large bowl and then just allowed it to cool. In this small bowl, I've added in the sugar, the rice vinegar, and the salt, and then I've whisked that until it starts to dissolve. Mine wasn't really dissolving that well, so I just popped it into the microwave for about 15 seconds, not long enough to make it hot, but just until it started to dissolve. Then I'm going to drizzle that over my rice, mix that together, and then that's it. I'm going to set this aside, and that's my sushi rice. I decided to make our favorite sushi rolls tonight, and my favorite is a crunchy shrimp roll. So I have this tempura shrimp that I got at the grocery store. I'm going to cook this in the air fryer. You could also cook this in the oven, whichever you prefer. And once it's done, I'm going to set it aside until I'm ready for it. Now I'm going to get started on the rolls. Now, like I mentioned earlier, this was my first time making sushi, and I did have to redo the first roll a couple times. I was so frustrated, I ended up deleting that footage. It took me a couple tries, not necessarily because it was so hard, but just because I kept making rookie mistakes. Like, for example, the first time I made it, I got all the way through the roll and then realized I left the nori out. Like, how do you leave out the nori? That's one of the most important parts, but I left it out, so I had to redo it. So if you see little specks of green in the rice, that's just from where I had to redo it. I scraped the avocado off. I've laid my bamboo mat down on my clean counter, and I would recommend you covering that with plastic wrap. I forgot to do that, and as you'll see in just a minute, my nori sheet stuck a little bit, so wrap that in plastic wrap. Then I'm going to add a sheet of nori. I just got this from Walmart. It was only a couple dollars for this package, so not expensive at all. Then I'm going to take some of the sushi rice and add it to the nori, and I'm going to dip my hands into this dish over here. This just has some cool water in it, and having wet fingers really helped with the rice not sticking to your hands so bad. So I'm just going to spread that on into a thin layer, and I'm making, I guess they call it an inside out roll. So I'm going to then flip that over so that the rice is then facing the bamboo mat. Next, I'm going to add my ingredients. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm making a shrimp tempura roll. That's one of our favorites. So I took some of that shrimp tempura that I cooked. I cut the tails off. The restaurants that I go to normally leave the tails on, but we always take them off anyway, so I just went ahead and cut them off. I laid that on my nori in the end closest to me, and then I took some thinly sliced avocado. I'm going to place that on top, and then using the bamboo mat, I'm just going to roll that up. And this is really easy. It seems intimidating at first, but if you've ever made cinnamon rolls or pinwheels or anything like that, it's basically the same thing. You just want to roll it up nice and tight. Use the bamboo mat again to gently squeeze it so that it's pretty compact and snug so that it doesn't fall apart. Now at this point it's done, so you would want to slice it, but because I'm a newbie, I'm going to use the gadget that came in the Sushi Making Kit to help me slice it. That kit also came with this knife. I'll ask my mom if she has the link that she bought it. I know she got it on Amazon, so if I can find it, I'll link it in the description box below. I know it wasn't very expensive, and it was a really cool kit. It came with everything you need and instructions and all that. So like I said, I'll try to find it and link it in the description box below. And then once I've sliced that up, I'm going to place it on the serving dish. I was trying to be a little fancy, but this is just a cheapy little tray that I got at the Dollar Tree. I've laid the sushi rolls out, and on one of the California rolls, I decided to add some of this sriracha mayonnaise. I just got this at Publix. On the other roll, the shrimp tempura roll, the restaurants I go to, they normally serve that with eel sauce. So this eel sauce, I couldn't find it in any local grocery markets. They do have it at Asian markets, but I just got mine on Amazon. I'll include it in the description box below. So I drizzled that over the shrimp shrimp tempura roll. This wasabi tube, I got this at Walmart. It wasn't very expensive. And then my husband loves the pickled ginger, so I'm serving some of that with it. And that pickled ginger, I just got it at Walmart. Same thing. It was only $1 or $2, not very expensive at all. And then in this little dish, and these little dishes came with this sushi kit, and they're beautiful. I'm going to add in some soy sauce, and then that's it. Dinner will be ready. And here's my plate. Now, I don't mean to toot my own horn, but this was amazing. This was so, so good. I've wanted to make my own sushi for a while, but I was just so intimidated by it. And I don't know why I let that stop me. It really wasn't that difficult. Now, granted, I made a couple of mistakes with the first roll, but once I got the hang of it, it wasn't that bad at all. And it was delicious. And the best part about it is that it was really budget friendly. Buying all of the ingredients that I needed wasn't very much money, and I have lots left over, so I can make many more sushi rolls. It was a lot cheaper than going out for sushi, because going out for sushi, it can be really expensive. So if you like sushi, I really recommend you give it a try. Make it yourself. It's really not that difficult. Watch a couple YouTube videos and I know you can do it. And one last thing real quick, I mentioned earlier about rice cookers. If you've never used a rice cooker before, I would recommend you take a look at it if you make a lot of rice or if you have trouble making rice, because they're so easy. All you do is add the rice and whatever liquid you want to use, water, broth. You put it in the rice cooker, you put the lid on and you turn it on, and that's it. It does everything for you. And then when it's done, it'll either switch off or to the warm setting depending on the rice cooker that you get. Now, you can get really fancy ones that are expensive. I just got mine several years ago at Walmart. It was like 20 bucks, and I think they're about the same price now. So like I said, if you make a lot of rice or if you have trouble with rice, I would recommend you looking into it. But that was our sushi making experience, and it was delicious. And like I said earlier, I really recommend, if you like sushi, giving it a try. For dinner this next night, I tried a new recipe for a Copycat Taco Bell Mexican pizza. Here's how I made it. I started out by making my taco meat. Here I used ground turkey. You can use ground beef. I just browned it and then added in my taco seasoning and a little water and then simmered that. Next, I took some tortillas. I took 2 tortillas for each pizza. I placed them on a cookie sheet, sprayed them with a little cooking spray, and then baked them in the oven until they were crisp. I believe the recipe said to fry these in a skillet with some oil. Once those were crispy, I pulled them out, spread a little refried beans on the bottom of one of the tortillas, added some of the taco sauce, added the second tortilla, then I added some enchilada sauce, some shredded cheese, and then popped these back into the oven just for a few moments until the cheese melted. Once that was done, I garnished them with some diced tomatoes and served it with some of the Taco Bell mild sauce. These were just okay. We didn't love these. I'm not sure if I did something wrong or what, but we just didn't feel like they had a lot of flavor. And plus with the tortillas, it was weird. They were crispy, but then they were also really tough at the same time. Now, granted, I baked the tortillas instead of frying them like the recipe suggested, but I bake my tortillas all the time and never have any issues. So, like I said, not sure what I did, but I'm going to try this recipe again and tweak a couple things, and hopefully they'll turn out better the next time. I mean, they weren't bad. We just didn't love them, but that was dinner this night. For dinner this next night, I made Asian chicken salads. I was going for a Copycat Applebee's Oriental chicken salad. So to get started in this bowl here, I'm going to add in some salad mix. You could use whatever your favorite lettuce is or whatever you have on hand. I'm also going to add in some of this coleslaw mix. Next, I'm going to add some mandarin oranges. These are just canned in juice, and I've drained the juice off, so I'm going to place those on top. Next, I'm going to add in my chicken. This is grilled chicken that I had in the freezer that I've thawed and then diced up. I have a separate video on how I make this. I'll include it in the description box below. Then I'm going to add some chopped up green onions, then some of these chow mein noodles. Next, I'm going to add some sliced almonds and then some wonton strips. And for the salad dressing, I'm going to use this Asian toasted sesame dressing from Kraft. I just got this at Walmart. And then here are the finished salads. This was really, really yummy. It was a quick and easy dinner, and it was delicious. For the last few dinners in this week's video, I'm going to be sharing the meals that we had on our little mini vacation. We went to the Blue Ridge Mountains, which are in North Georgia, to celebrate our 12th wedding anniversary. We rented a little cabin there. It was really nice. On this first night, we had Pizza Hut delivered to the cabin. We haven't had Pizza Hut in a really long time. There's not one close to us that delivers, so it's been a while. We did one of their specials where you get a pizza, breadsticks, and cinnamon sticks, so we did that. And then I've been wanting their meat lovers pizza, and my husband doesn't prefer it, so I just did a personal pan pizza for that, and that was dinner this night. For dinner this next night, we went to a restaurant that was right on the river. It was really pretty. We ordered their fried pickles as an appetizer. It was really yummy. For my husband's entree, he got a cheeseburger, which was delicious. And then for my entree, I ordered their broiled seafood platter. It had broiled trout, oysters, shrimp, and scallops, and then hush puppies in a salad. And then for dessert, we ordered their apple crisp with vanilla ice cream, and that was our dinner that night. For dinner this last night, we were celebrating our anniversary. We went to this little Italian restaurant. It was out in the middle of nowhere, and it was an old house that they converted into a restaurant. And to be honest, I didn't have high expectations for it, but this is hands down one of the best meals we've ever had. Everything was amazing. When we first got seated, they brought us marinated olives and then some freshly baked bread with olive oil and balsamic vinegar for dipping. I skipped out on the olives, but my husband raved about them. Now, because it was our anniversary, we were splurging a little bit and we hadn't had lunch this day, so we each picked out an appetizer. I chose the Frito Misto, which was delicious, and then not pictured, my husband ordered their Prince Edward Island mussels. I normally don't prefer mussels, but these were delicious. They were so good. They were in a tomato saffron broth. And then for our entrees, I chose their lobster ravioli. It had large chunks of lobster in the ravioli and on the dish. It had arugula and blistered tomatoes and leeks. It was delicious. Usually dishes like this are really heavy, but this was light. And then for my husband's entree, he chose their scallop special, which were seared scallops with Israeli couscous and then some pickled cucumbers and onions. I sampled a little bit of his, and the scallops were perfection. They were butter. And then for dessert, they let us choose a free dessert, which I thought was nice for our anniversary. And so we chose their chocolate cake, and it had a caramel cheesecake mousse. It was delicious. And like I said, this was one of the best meals we've ever had. Everything was amazing. The service was great. I can't wait for us to go back. And that was dinner this night. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please hit the thumbs up button below and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. I hope you have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.